Good day and welcome everybody to the VectorVest International Online Forum. Hope everybody's doing good no matter where you are in the VectorVest world. Please make sure your computer speakers are turned on so you can hear the audio portions of this webinar. And if we can get some indication that people are hearing us and seeing our screen, that would be good. It looks like we have people already coming in. Wojtek from Harrison Mills. We've got Paul in Burlington. Haas in Alabama. We've got, looks like California. Jeffrey in Athens, Georgia. Paul, Stan is semi-retired. He's still with us with VectorVest, but not doing the International Online Forum anymore. All right, so we've got quite a few people coming in here. Welcome, everybody. And I just wanted to say happy Labor Day to all of those in Canada and the US. And especially thanks for tuning in on a holiday long weekend. We're going to get moving because we have quite a bit to cover here. The first thing we'll do is the risk disclaimer. As everybody knows, there is risk in investment. Everything you will see and hear today is provided for educational purposes only and should never be considered as investment advice. The information is designed to empower you to make your own investment decisions, and these decisions are yours and yours alone to make. So with that said, we can move on. We've got an excellent agenda for you today. Just for those who don't know who I am yet, my name's Rick Franklin. I'm a VectorVest consultant for Canada. I've been brought in to help Stan get to a semi-retired state and help VectorVest overall. So I'm pleased to be with you all today. So we've got our welcome done. I will be starting things off with a global market forecast. I will be taking a look at all of the color guards from all around the VectorVest world. And I'm very pleased that we have Ryan Shook, Senior Instructor with VectorVest with us. He'll be covering trade ideas. And of course, our keynote presentation, it's such an honor to have Susan HayesCulleton with us, renowned author, economist, and I think she does a little bit of speaking here and there. She's also managing director, VectorVest Europe. All right, so quite a good lineup for everybody today. And of course, once we get through everything, we'll be adjourning around 12:30. Now, this is on YouTube, so the recording will be available on YouTube immediately after the webinar. Same location on the VectorVest YouTube channel. The slides will be sent out Tuesday afternoon, so keep that in mind, everybody. It'll be Tuesday afternoon with a long weekend in both Canada and the US. You should receive an email with a link to the slides, so check your email folders. Make sure you check those folders that they sometimes tuck emails that you want into and you can't see. All right, so with all that, we will move on and we'll start the global market review. All right, so our first thing we'll do, we'll look over to the right and we will take a look at how all of the countries' markets have performed year to date. Starting with Canada, 6.88% to the upside. Everybody's to the upside year to date. So the US at 9.18%, Australia 7.33%, the EU at 9.24, and the UK at 6.20. August wasn't as friendly to all of us. Canada was down 1.55%, the US 1.25%. Australia fared a bit better, only off about 0.08, just enough to register for a DUI. And the EU was down about 2.57, the UK 2.26 to the downside. Taking a look at the Canadian color guard, there you can see at the top our year to date at 6.88. Our color guard is mildly bullish, and VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. You can see just out of our extended view of the color guard, we did have a bigger sea of red, and you can see as we transitioned, started getting less red into yellows, adding greens in the price column. And on Friday, we were able to get a RT Kicker combo confirm green. Friday was a pretty good day. We saw our MTI improve nicely. I believe all four of our proprietary indicators were all up in Canada day over day and week over week. Down below, you can see we remain in a confirmed call down since the 16th of August. Our DEW just turned up on Friday on the 1st of September. Our green light buyer, we got another green light on the 1st of September, and the primary wave is up as well since the 25th of August. Moving over to the US side, we've got our market time engaged needle, one tick into the green. Color guard is mildly bullish, and VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Here you can see the US was able to get a green light on Friday as well. Still waiting for that RT Kicker combo confirmation. I believe the moving averages, when I checked them, were in neutral positions. So if we continue to get upward price movement, you should see some confirmations with that timing system next week. So on the US side, we've got confirmed calls down since the 9th of August. The DEW has been down since the 11th of August. Green light buyer, they got that green light on the 1st of September. So you can see they've gone green light, then they went to neutral, got the green light on Friday, and their primary wave has been up since the 25th of August. Moving next to Australia with their 7.33% year-to-date gain. Their color guard market timing, or the market timing gauge needle, is straight up into the yellow. The color guard is neutral. VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. You can see their top row of yellow lights. They do have an MTI above 1. They are in an up situation, and they actually have a confirmed up. So you can see their confirmed calls, confirmed up since the 31st of August. Their DEW is up since the 30th of August. They're neutral on the green light buyer as of Friday, the 1st of September. And their primary wave has been up since the 24th of August. If we move next to the EU, I believe this is Susan's stomping grounds. 9.24% year to date. Their market time engaged needle is one tick into the green. The color guard is mildly bullish. VectorVest advocates buying safe, undervalued stocks that are rising in price at this time. You can see their top row, 2 yellows. They've got a green in the BSR column, and they have an MTI above 1. They are in an up situation. If we look down below, they're confirmed down. They've been in a confirmed down since the 11th of August. Their DEW is also down since the 9th of August. They're neutral for the green light buyer as of the 30th of August. And the primary wave is up since the 25th of August. And lastly here, going to the UK with their 6.2% year-to-date gain. Their market time engaged needle is 1 tick into the green. Color guard is mildly bullish. VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. And there you can see their top row. They do have an RT kicker combo confirmed green in the price column. Yellow lights in RT BSR. Their MTI is right at 1. They're in an up down. So they've been in a confirmed call down since the 11th of August. Their DEW has also been down since the 11th of August. And their green light buyer kicked in on the 29th of August. Primary wave has been up since the 24th of August. All right, I'm seeing one person saying they're only seeing the opening slide. I don't see it anywhere else, so hopefully we're good to go here. All right, so the next thing we're going to take a look at is performance of our global market tracking ETFs for 2023. We just highlighted the top 5. So you can see on the left, we've got the 2023 year-to-date performance. And taking a look, you can see NASDAQ at the top with the 41.95% gain. Greece followed with 41.07%. Mexico, 24.69%. Poland, 23.87%. And Italy coming in at 19.15%. Now, these can be found in the American software under watch lists and cherry picking. We also track their performance from the 18th to the 31st of August to see, who was moving of late. So you can see a little bit of a difference there where we've got Turkey leading the way. NASDAQ is still hanging in there in number 2 position. And then we're rounded out with China, Japan, and Australia. All right. And the next thing we'll look at is the performance of our market sector ETF watch list. So that's in the same folder, the cherry picking folder, to get a sense of what sectors are on the move as far as the sector ETFs go. So on the left, we've got our 2023 year to date. And you can see coming in at the top of the list is semis with a 53.96% gain. We've got U.S. home construction next. ITB U.S. home construction, 42.3% gain. XLK, which is S&P 500 Tech Select, 41.16% gain. XLC Commercial Services Select, 41.13% gain. And then another home builders rounding off the top 5 with a 37.72% gain. In that time frame, you can see the VectorVest composite is up 9.92%. And then what we did on the sector ETFs was do a 10-day price delta to see who we had moving just in the last 10 days. So you can see SMH for semis hanging in there, 6.9% in the last 10 days. XLK, another one from our list. GDX for gold. So gold has started to move. We also have the home builders hanging in there with a 5.89% gain, and Spotter Software rounding out the top 5 with a 5.78% gain. All right, and the last thing I'll mention to everybody, I hope folks have got a chance to check out the essays from around the VectorVest world. If not, you have the rest of the weekend to read up. We've got some excellent essays out there once again. In the US, we've got Angela Akers with developing a trading plan, how to use VectorVest to develop and follow a trading plan. Very good essay there. Canada's Stan Heller did an essay entitled 4 Tips for Making Money When the Market Rallies. So he's got 4 wise VectorVest Pro tips to use in order to make money with rising stocks in rising markets. Of course, for the UK, VectorVest continues to, in memory of the late Dr. David Paul, continue with a series of his essays. He wrote so much gold for all of us here in VectorVest. So Trade Execution is Everything was the title of the one in the UK. And then, of course, we have her here with us, but for the EU, Susan HayesCulleton finished off. She did her final series honoring the memory of Dr. David Paul. So hers was a reflection of David Paul's wisdom, part 6. And this was the final in the series, and this one concentrated on nailing down decent profits. And then going to Australia, Robert and Russell Markham, theirs was entitled Property Construction Companies Revisited. And it was an excellent look at the builders or construction industry in Australia and the cautions revealed through the analysis in VectorVest. All right, so if you haven't had a chance to read those, I would strongly encourage everybody to go and check them out. All right, so that's going to be it for me. I'm very happy at this time to hand off to Ryan, and he'll be covering trade ideas.
All right, thanks, Rick. Can everyone hear me or see my screen? I'm just going to give it a second for YouTube to catch up. All right, there we go. Well, thanks again, Rick, for giving us that guidance around the world this morning. And thank you for everyone attending this weekend, this Saturday morning, taking time out of your day, especially those here in the States and in Canada. As I know it's a holiday weekend. We appreciate you coming to check us out this morning. Now, I'm going to focus on market timing just in the very beginning real quick. So I'm going to click on the timing tab across the top of the program here. And I know there's a little bit of a lag on the YouTube, so I'm going to go a little slow so that way my voice matches where the screen's at. Okay, thanks, Joey. All right, so here we got the market timing graph coming up. Let's zoom in here. We're just going to go in the last 3 months. Now we see that, let me take this crosshair cursor off. We see the July high is holding true as of right now. The VectorVest Composite, this is the US market, by the way. That high was back on the 31st of July at $60.91. Since then, you know, as he mentioned, August was a rough month. US not to be excluded from the rest of the world. Finally, hitting a level of support down here at 57.30. One thing I do like, at least on a bullish note, that this swing low here was higher than the prior swing low back in June. Since then, we see over the past week here, a strong market rally to the upside, even breaking out of this resistance zone at 58.9, now becoming a level of support. So we are seeing a breakout of the VectorVest Composite to the upside. So with that being said, we're going to just take a simple approach. We're going to find some nice momentum stocks using the VectorVest software and utilizing the Midas Touch strategy. So let me just close out of this. I'm going to go back to the home page real quick. All right. So if we look here, before we jump to the Midas Touch stocks, which are located over here on the left, I do just want to take a point at the top RT industries and sectors. We're seeing a common theme here, and that is energy, petroleum in particular. We see out of the top 5 here, 2 of them are in the petroleum industry here. And then as far as the sector, petroleum ranks number 2. So as we go through these Midas touch stocks, at no surprise, we are going to see quite a few petroleums, especially in the US and Canadian market. The UK, it's bank and utilities from what I remember, but we'll get to that in just a moment here. So let's go over to the viewers tab. To find these stocks, just over on the left-hand side, the watch list viewer, there is a folder titled cherry picking. And we have the Midas touch stocks here. So right now, we notice that there's 366 actually found that meet this criteria. The easiest way to describe a Midas touch stock is that it looks at some moving averages of our RT. And essentially, it's just 3 months worth of momentum to the upside. So as long as we're getting continued momentum for those 3 months, they'll appear on the list here. They are in order by VST. Again, that's our master indicator going over all value, safety, and timing. So there's, essentially it's going to put the best momentum stocks at the top of the list. So we're going to let the software do the work here, and we're just going to graph the top 5 and actually break down these positions. So let me pull these up. Get rid of this crosshair cursor. That's never a good visual. All right, so by default, we're going to start out the 1-year layout here. We see here's Profile Energy. This is a petroleum company. We saw a channel for quite most of the year here. You can see that extended channel broke out of that channel. Looks like since the beginning of the August, a strong momentum to the upside. One thing, or a couple things I do like about it right now, it does have the buy rating and it is still undervalued. However, let's zoom into a 3-month time span, just to get a better picture of this position. Now, if we take a look here, let me take off this last close. We do see some selling pressure coming in with these top wicks here. The past 2 out of the 3 trading sessions, we have a lot of selling pressure, and we have some buying pressure here. So some indecision in this in this position here in particular. Now, I said it, it did break out of that channel, extended channel here. If we just do a little horizontal line here, we can see the top end of that channel somewhere around this area. Once it broke out to the upside, that momentum has gained some magnitude, bringing that position up to $2.83. The high looks like it just reached on Friday. Let's see. The high was at $2.98. So this position, pretty much doubled in the last month here. So one thing I will say about this, we're going to put this one on the sidelines for right now, just because this position seems like it could be a little bit exhausted to the upside. We're seeing a lot of volatility in the last 3 trading sessions, some selling pressure occurring as we get close to that $3 mark. So this might just be one you want to put in a watch list, and it'll keep it available for future opportunities. So let's zoom into the next one here. Start out the 1-year chart. Here we got Tidewater. Nice strong buy rating here over the last several months. Definitely overvalued. It was overvalued for quite some time. However, we see the value line rising quite a bit over the last 4 to 6 months here. And look at this price action. Nice steady price action from lower left to upper right. Just hit a high Friday. So if you like, what they call it, steady eddy. If you like a steady eddy, not too much volatility, this stock seems to be in that category. Now, the EPS or earnings per share, that has been on the rise as well. As you can see here, at the beginning of this year is actually negative. However, now that company has positive forecasted earnings and it's continuing to rise. So there's some great things about this company. So let's zoom into a 3-month time span and look at it more of a technical aspect here. Now, if we look, we use some freehand lines. Now you can see consolidation here in this position. The breakout occurred earlier this week. We are getting nice several green candlesticks to follow that breakout here. The volume has been picking up over the last few trading sessions. So this position I actually really like here. It just hit a new high as of Friday, so it did break the prior swing high back here in early August. So this is a a great trading setup here going forward. As always, it's a holiday weekend. The markets will be closed Monday, so we always want to wait, see what the market's doing Tuesday and get confirmation that the market is still rising before we pull the trigger on anything. So let's go to the next position here. Go back out to 1 year. Here we have Helix Energy. Again, another petroleum company. Petroleum has been hot, over the last month or so. I did a video on the YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it yet, did it about a month ago. And, oil's been doing really good since then. So it'll give you some more insight if that's something that you're, particularly interested in. Now, this company here, we do have a nice strong buy rating since July. Undervalued position. Love that. Price action, lower left to upper right. A little bit of a pullback here, extended pullback. However, that position, sharply recovered since its June pullback and just hit a new high as of Friday. The earnings per share, this company as well started off the beginning of the year with negative forecasted earnings. However, it looks like since November, the earnings or EPS has been on the rise since then. So that is a great indication that that company is able to grow its earnings going forward. So let's zoom into a 3-month time span. Just look at a more technical aspect here. Now I'm going to use some horizontal lines. So as you see here, the company did gap up. Let me use my date line here, get a better visual. That gap up occurred on July 27th. And the price action, you can see here, it was going through this channel. One thing I do like about this is that it actually never got below this initial gap up candlestick here, that bottom wick. Because if price action gets below that bottom wick, nobody has a crystal ball, but typically a stock likes to fill the gap. So right now we're out of this channel. We just broke out as of Friday. We had some resistance Wednesday and Thursday on the top end of that channel. So I do like that breakout. Don't be surprised if price action likes to retest the top end of that channel. I would not be surprised by that, all means. But again, with the long weekend, no one really knows what's going to happen come Tuesday. So we'd like to see some follow through in the market and in particular oil for this position. Now, the earnings per share is steadily on the rise here. I do like that. And again, if we look at volume here, we see over the past 2 days since the price action trying to break above that channel, volume has taken a little bit of a hit here, not as high as it was earlier in the week. So if we get some conviction with some strong volume and can take out this high here, that would be a great sign to the upside. Otherwise, don't be surprised if it tries to retest that channel, and that could be a potential trade setup as well, playing that retest. So your stop price, wouldn't be much below that that retest line. So let's go here to the next one. Out to 1 year. Here we got Weatherford International. Again, petroleum. Like I said, these are the high momentum stocks right now. Good strong buy rating here. Undervalued company. Love that. Now the price action. Again, this is a nice steady eddy here. So if you're looking for, to reduce volatility in your portfolio, or if you're a swing trader but want to do it a little bit more on a conservative note, this might be a good position for you. So it doesn't look too volatile here. Earnings per share, nice positive earnings per share, and this nice rise in stair-step fashion here over the last 12 months. Even the last month here, continuing to rise, like that a lot. And look at this volume starting to uptick over the last couple weeks. So let's zoom in here, get a better picture. Here, this company just hit a new high as of today at 91.45. We see the earnings still rising to this day. And let's see here. Let me use a freehand line. So you can see the volume dropping here with this freehand line. As well, if I take a look at price action is also suffering from that drop in volume. However, over the past few trading days, price action is breaking out of that with the volume starting to uptick as well. Do like that a lot. The only one thing I would be concerned with this position, with yesterday's candlestick, looks like a little bit of a doji there with the open and close so close together. However, the selling pressure is a little on the top end here, that top wick showing that selling pressure coming in. So for this position, honestly, I would like to see this high taken out and with some conviction with volume behind it, just giving confirmation that the buyers are still coming in at these levels. Now, let's go to the next position here. Here we've got a Camtech Ltd. So this one's not a petroleum. I think this is the first one on the list that hasn't been petroleum yet. So let's go to 1 year chart. All right, so Camtech here, you know, as you can see, this thing has just been rocking and rolling since it hit its low. Let's see here. That low was right at the end of the 2022 year at December 22nd, $20.83. Since then, it's gone up threefold. We see the high here just above $60 at 61.47. Now, this company is overvalued right now as well, does have the buy rating, but just remember, you know, we like to purchase safe, undervalued companies, right? So as a momentum play, this might just be a little bit more aggressive in nature, you know, not as conservative as the ones before with lower volatility, and they were undervalued, so that's always a plus. But let's go into a 3-month time span and see what we've got here. Now, let me use this freehand line here. Now we see nice steady price action here since, you know, mid-August. Looks like we've got a bullish hammer as far as Friday's candlestick is concerned. We see a long bottom wick here showing that buying pressure coming back into the picture here. For a trade setup, I'd like to see this high taken out as of Thursday. In addition, if we notice, the volume here has been dropping off the last 4 days. So I'd like to see volume come back in the picture and that price high taken out as of yesterday, just to show some follow through and conviction in this position. Because as you can see, you know, just over the last 3 months, you know, it's doubled in price, was around $30 here back in beginning of June. Now we're ending at 60. So just be careful with this one. Like I said, you know, we want to see some follow through to the upside, but not only in this position, but in the market itself come next week. So let me close out of here. All right, and let's switch gears. Now we're going to move to the Canada's market. Let me minimize this. Here we are. We've got Canada here. Oh, there we go. All right, so the color guard here, look, we've got momentum confirmed by the color guard. We've got the asterisks. That is our RT Kicker combo timing system. We use some moving averages of our RT just to show momentum has been confirmed to the upside right now. Just like in the US, you know, we see here we got petroleum as the top industry. And as far as a sector, we are number 4 on the list here in Canada as well. So petroleum is pretty hot right now, just by looking at some of these names, Attica Drilling, and Energy here, Ensign Energy. So let's go ahead and jump into the minus touch stocks and see what they've got to offer. So we're going to go to viewers, the watch list viewer. And just curious, for those that are watching, is anyone still bullish on oil going into the next few months? Is anyone in oil currently? There we got the Midas touch stocks here. All right, here's the top 5. So let's graph these. Here we got CLS at the top of the list here. Let me get rid of this crosshair cursor. There we go. All right, so this position here, nice strong buy rating, you know, looks like since the beginning of June into May. It is undervalued. Price action, we see the candlesticks here chasing that value. Both of these continue to climb higher. So I really like that. Nice bottom left, upper right price action over the last 12 months. Same thing with earnings per share, EPS, nice lower left, upper right. Still rising here. We see a jump back up in August. It's probably earnings related, if I had to guess, just that gap up and strong volume there. So let's zoom into a 3-month time span. So I really like this trade setup here. So we had some consolidation the last few trading days. However, as of today, we did, you know, just break out to the upside here. We can see the last close. That says gold line here. I'm clicking on. So that's yesterday's close. We saw some resistance at that level here. Now today, or sorry, Friday's price action. Looks like we got another doji candlestick, some indecision here. Low on volume too, if we take a look at that. So for this one here, definitely want to see this high taken out, but I want to see some follow through in the volume. I want to see some conviction in that volume, because if I use a freehand line here, see how when volume drops, price action here likes to suffer as well. There wasn't much going on here in that same time frame. So if we could see the volume come back up, we see it ticking up here a little bit, trying to. However, to get some conviction, to make a new high, let's see volume, increase once again. Let's here, go to the next stock. Here we've got TCW, another petroleum company over the last year. It's undervalued. Gotta love that. I personally prefer undervalued companies, even in momentum or technical trading. Because let's be honest, if it becomes emotional, become holding the bag, which you never want to do. I'd at least rather be holding the bag on something undervalued. Now, we got a buy rating here. The volume, look at this. Both value and price action are rising at the same time. That's one thing I really like to see in a stock. Just hit a new high here. Even the earnings per share, steadily rising. Did flatten out, looks like most of 2023. However, over the last few months, we'll go to a 3-month time span. Really, actually, since the beginning of August here, we're seeing that uptick in EPS starting to rise again. Another thing I like, look at volume rising as well. That volume has turned into a breakout to the upside here, just hitting a new high. So that is one thing I definitely like about this position here. So it looks like the trade setup is good to go. We did break out, got that new high. Like I said, you just want to see follow through both within the position and the market come Tuesday when the market's open. Let's see here. Now we've got NOAA. Let's go back to 1 year. Here we've got North American Construction. Again, another petroleum company. Undervalued. Like that a lot here. Let me get rid of this last close. We see a nice strong gap up here, volume. Let me just put my earnings on. So I have a feeling that's earnings. Yep, that is caused by earnings here. Nice price action from lower left to upper right. Not much volatility here, other than earnings, but as long as you were bullish, that was good volatility to the upside. So let's zoom in to a 3-month time span. So here we can see the channeling occurring here. So let's use a horizontal line. And there's the top end of the channel right there. So we can see price action channeling through that. As we get closer to this upper channel, we're seeing selling pressure come Friday. And look at volume here. Volume, let me go back to a freehand line. Volume has been on the decline here. But historically speaking, even before earnings, volume was pretty low. So as far as, conviction here, just not seeing it. I'd like to see a break out of this channel. This could go either bullish or bearish, because if it breaks down out to the downside of this channel, look at this nice gap we have here. So that could be a potential short. As well to the upside, I'd like to see this level of resistance taken out, especially on strong volume would be really nice. However, right now, too early to tell. Again, this could be one you just put in the watch list. Let the trade come to you instead of trying to, predict the market. Let the trades set itself up here. So as of right now, we are gaining momentum to the upside of this channel. But just remember, if we do break the bottom end of this, it could become a really good short play, just because, even if I do a horizontal line, just the bottom of this candlestick here puts us at 29. So from 32 to about 29, that's almost 10% there. And if you go here, where some consolidation is as a second potential target point, around 25, or we'll say 26. So add another $3 there. So that's closer to 20%. So that's what I'm saying, that downside, that might actually work out pretty well if it does go down. But again, this is petroleum right now, and that's been rocking and rolling the last few months. So let's just wait on this position on either side of that channel breakout. Here we got CES Energy, another petroleum stock. Or sorry, let's see here. So this one is undervalued. We see the value. Again, I definitely like this as a good sign. To see that value rise and price action rise at the same time, the buy rating given, nice earnings per share here, positive earnings, continuing to rise even over the last month. We see the volume here. Let's zoom into a 3-month time span. Volume really high for the month of August, it looks like. However, towards the end of August, we're seeing volume fade out a little bit. So I'd like to see volume, an uptick in volume, to see conviction, to see buyers come back into this position. Definitely would like to see this high taken out. Let's see here. Change that to a date line. See, that high was at 371 on August 29th. So I'd like to, for the trade setup, like to see that high taken out. In addition, strong conviction of volume when that high is taken out, or if it is. So let's go down here. Next, we got FFH. Look at this. Nice bottom left to upper right price action. Undervalued. I don't see a sell rating in sight for this position over the last 12 months. Nice strong buy rating. So this is a really good position. Look at even this earnings per share here. Nice bottom left to upper right, nice uptick here at the beginning of August. So let's take a look at volume. Let's zoom into a 3-month time span. Here we go. We've got volume here. We can already see where the resistance is going to come into play. About right there. There's the channel. And we had a nice strong update here. However, since this nice strong update back on August 4th, you can see buyers had control, very little selling pressure from the top wick. However, the price action just hasn't had any follow through. So I'd like to see price action break out to the upside of this channel on some strong volume just to get confirmation for this trade setup. All right, so that's all the Midas touch that we have for Canada. So the last stop is going to be the UK. So let me minimize this one here. Oh, there we go. All right, UK is going to be a little bit different as far as, you're not going to see as many petroleum stocks, clearly. We see right now the industries with the highest momentum is going to be drug, retail, department stores, insurance brokers, aerospace and defense, as well as electronic miscellaneous products. Now, the top RT sector is aerospace and defense, metal products, ETFs, internet, and container. So let's go over to the viewers tab. We've got the cherry picking folder. There's the Midas touch. All right, I'm just gonna do the top 3 here. Let me get rid of this cross-haired cursor. All right, here we've got YU Group PLC, utility company. Gas is going to come into play. Now we see price action here from lower left to upper right. Nice price action. We got a nice steady buy rating here over the last few months. Looks like those buys started back in June. Now the company is fairly valued here. We see it just tick below our value line. So it's slightly undervalued right now, not by much though. However, one thing I do like about this, our EPS, or earnings per share, nice lower left, upper right EPS growth. And if we look at the volume here, we do see an uptick in volume over the last few months. It's starting to fade away as we get closer to September. Again, a lot of these positions we've noticed a little bit of fade in the volume over the last few trading sessions. That could be the holiday as well playing a role. So let's zoom into a 3-month time span. All right, so again, here's that buy rating, nice strong buy rating here. We hit the high at 1,018. That was back on August 23rd. Let me get rid of this value line just for 1 second here. All right, so there we go. Got rid of the value line. So we do see, price decline since then. So let's just take a look at some support resistance lines here. See where we can find some support. So from this here, the support comes in at 592. So let me get rid of this close here. The other support that I'm seeing, I'm just going to use a freehand line. Oh, sorry, horizontal. That would be my level support here at 882.73. So we'd like to see price action stay above this line here. Now, as far as any follow through, see this big candlestick here? I want to do the open of that candlestick. Let's do a date line. That's on August 29th. The open that day was at 970. So to get some confirmation for the trade setup here, I'd like to at least get above this open. Now, in addition, look at the volume here. The volume has been fading away over the last 2 weeks. So I'd like to see an uptick in volume, just see some conviction behind that move if the position was to get above that open level of 970. So let's go to the next one. Put the value back on. Move date line. All right, here we got a bank, TBC. It's International Banking Group. Now, nice price action, lower left to upper right. We see nice undervalued company here. Not a sell rating in sight over the last 12 months. So this is actually a really good position. Looks like a good steady eddy here. We just hit a high, looks like it was about 2 weeks ago, back on August 17th. Nice earnings per share. Look at that rise in earnings per share. Flattened out a little bit there, from about January to about, looks about July. However, by the end of July into August, it did start to rise again. So better visual. Let's go to 3 months here. We do see that rise in EPS, or earnings per share. Now this position here, you see it broke out of this level of resistance at 25.92. Um, 50, as soon as we got that breakout here, we got some strong volume on that breakout. So we got conviction there. However, once we got a clear breakout here, we're seeing that price action starting to channel once again here. Looks like right about that, the high, and at 2,759. So we see it channeling. So again, we want to wait for the trade to reveal itself. Right now, who knows which way it's going to go, right? But if we can get a breakout to the upside or to the downside on this position, could be both a good bullish or bearish position depending on that breakout. As long as we got some conviction behind that move with some volume, I'm like it either way, whether it's bullish or bearish. So let's go down to the next one. So this is the last one we have here for the UK. Nice price action, lower left to upper right, undervalued this entire time up until recently. Nice strong buy ratings here. We even got a big jump in EPS. So, yep, that's from the earnings that was released. So let's zoom into the last 3 months here. So we're seeing price action. Nice strong candlesticks here. Just got a new high today. Earnings per share. The buyers, now one thing I will note is since that earnings per share, since these big candlesticks here, see the volume ticking down. So it looks like buyers are thinning out. However, price action continues to rise. So until we see, otherwise, this could be a nice momentum play here. But again, wait to see what the market does come next week. And, we want to follow through on this position if we're going to be bullish. Okay. So let me close out of this. And then we do have 2 bonus stocks today. Minimize this. They're going to be in the U.S. market. So thank you for sticking around. So let's just pull up graphs. See, we got URI, which is tends to be a viewer favorite. There's been a lot of chatter about it. But then there's also VIST, Vista Energy. So these are the 2 that we're going to go over. So here are your bonus stocks. Get rid of this crosshair cursor. So this is URI, United Rentals. So let's take a look, see what's going on here. We got the nice strong buy rating here since, looks about June. Undervalued the entire time. I've said it again, or I've said it before, and I'll definitely say it again. If you see value going up and price chasing that value to the upside, that is a great sign. Now, earnings per share, also nice steady rise in earnings per share over the last 12 months. So let's just zoom into a 3-month time span and look at this at a more technical aspect. All right, we just hit a high today. Let's see here. So let's add support resistance. All right, so this is the support zone. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more here, just get a better visual of this. So here's the support zone. a 471.35. Back in here, we were able to get out of that support zone just a little bit here, not too much. However, you can see price action fell back into these two support zones at 438.85 being the second one, the lower one here. Now we're seeing this again. So let's just take a freehand line, or sorry, horizontal line. So you can see the consolidation at the top here. You know, we're barely broke a new high as of Friday. So if you're already in this position, you know, you're already in it. But if you're not in this position, you know, I'd like to see price action break above this level clearly, you know, get a couple more highs. And I wouldn't be surprised if we did a retest on this. You know, if we did break above, break out of this level, did a retest, not going to be surprised there. But again, you know, we're going to see what the market's going to do come Tuesday. And look at the volume. Oh, I do like the uptick in volume over the last week. Even on a holiday week here in the US, the uptick in volume, that is a great sign showing that buyers are being interested. So I do like this position a lot, actually. Drew Jackson said cup and handle. Yeah, there's your cup. Here's your handle. And looks like we're going to break out to the upside of that handle. Good call. I didn't see that on the 3-month time span. But yeah, good job, Drew. So yeah, this looks like a good trade setup here. So let's go to the next one. All right, here we've got Vista. This is the bonus stock on our end. Again, petroleum. Petroleum's been real hot lately. Undervalued company like that. Nice strong buy ratings. Haven't seen a sell, you know, since about this time last year. Earnings per share, EPS, on the rise of the last 12 months. Even the volume, a little bit of a downtick in volume. You can see that volume starting to decrease here. So let's just zoom into let's do a 6-month time span. Here we can see the support levels coming in clearly. Let me change this to Dateline. The first support is at 23.66. The next level is at 22.62. So let's just jump into a 3-month here. And let me get rid of these. Make this a little bigger so everyone can see it. And let's just do one more. Ooh, style. So you can see the channel here. Price action struggling to enter that channel. However, we have hit the bottom of that channel several times here. You know, one being here, the top end of this channel as well. So until we break out of this channel, I mean, it looks like a great position. You know, I like the earnings. I like that it's undervalued. But right now, we're just flirting with the top end of this channel. So I'd be willing to give up, you know, a little bit of profit there just to wait, you know, for that trade confirmation. Because right now we're at 26.74. However, that channel, you know, literally just $1 away at 27.76. So again, want to see the price action break outside of this channel before entering position to get trade setup confirmation. In addition, love some conviction with volume. Right now we see a downtick in volume. Again, you know, being holiday weekend, that could be the cause. But let me switch this to a freehand. See the downtick in volume here as we approach the top end of this channel. Therefore, if we do break out to the upside of this channel, I definitely want to see an uptick in volume just to show conviction behind that move in this position. Now, again, my name is Ryan. It's been a pleasure going over these high momentum stocks. I am going to hand this back over actually to Susan. Susan is next. So let me go ahead and switch that over. All right, there we go. Take it away, Susan.
Thank you very much indeed, Ryan, for that. And also, as you say, for handing it over to me now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And what you will see is, first of all, my homepage. So let me just share that for you now. Okay, so what I'm going to start off by doing today is I'm just going to take you through what I'm going to be covering between now and approximately over the next 30 minutes before I hand you back to Rick. So first of all, my name is Susan. As you have already heard, I'm the Managing Director of VectorVest Europe. But just to tell you a little bit about me personally as an investor. Number one, I like my income. So I like my dividends. I like my option premium. I like to find stocks very similar there to what Ryan was talking about, where the value is higher than the price. But secondly, I'm also a CFA charter holder. That means Chartered Financial Analyst charter holder. And that has enabled me to be able to really get in under the hood of stocks. But I particularly like earnings and reading earnings calls and being on live earnings calls, etc. And that is particularly what I'm going to show you today. And then, of course, thirdly, I am Managing Director of VectorVest in Europe and have been for the past 12 years. So I know lots of nooks and crannies in the system. And therefore, what I'm going to do is put all of that together for you today so that then over these next 30 minutes, you will hopefully have lots of key takeaways that you can go and implement yourself. So here's what I'm going to do. Number one, I want to show you a search that I built myself in Unisearch that helps me pick out the earnings calls that I'm going to look at for the week ahead. Number two, I'm going to show you the result of that over the past couple of weeks. So I'm going to run these on a Friday. You'll see how it looks, but you can try this on any given day. And that's how I plan my earnings calls ahead. Number three, as you'll see, Lululemon appeared on my screen last week, and that was an earnings call that I followed. So I'm going to take you through how I navigate an earnings call and particularly identify elements of what I've learned about Lululemon over the past earnings call, I would say. And then also, if there's time, I am going to go back to Rick and answer any and all questions that you might have along the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to pop on over here to Unisearch. Now, this is a search I've already built, and I do want to make that point. It is already built. It's not in your system. You would need to replicate this yourself. So please do bear that in mind as I'm saying this to you. So what I did was I simply went into my long searches, and in here in my long searches, I created this search. So here's what it is. So we take the earnings date less than 10 days out. Okay, so what I look for in my earnings call in the next week is that they're less than 10 days out and that they're more than 5 days out. So that is how I plan my time, is that I want it to be in a couple of days ahead, but not so far away that it's really far away. Okay. Now, picking up on some of the elements that Ryan spoke to you about already, I also want to make sure that the emphasis that I'm putting on my earnings calls align with me as an investor. So Ryan was saying there, for example, if you can find a stock where you can see that the value is higher than the price and they chase each other, if you can see the elements he was showing you there about a rising EPS, etc., you can build that into a search on VectorVest. And of course, the one that he took us through there was Midas Touch. So what I did was that I aligned what I look for in a stock into my search, and then I put that together with my earnings timing. So what do I look for? Personally, I look for VST being above 1. Any of us in VectorVest, we can all tell you that VST, value, safety, and timing, this is what we all learned our first day in the job. The second thing is that I always want my relative safety as well to be particularly strong. Relative safety is consistency and predictability of financial performance. I want my dividends to be consistent and predictable. Bear in mind, I've already told you that that's one of the things that I look for. And I also want to see consistent and predictable performance around earnings. And earnings is where the name of the game is for us today. And the other thing is that I always want, when it comes to taking a bullish approach, I always want to see that the buyers are pushing the price up more so than the sellers are pushing it down. Therefore, I want to see that RT, relative timing, is above 1. That's it. That is my search. So I look for value, safety, and timing being above 1, relative safety being above 1.2, relative timing being above 1. That aligns with me personally as an investor myself. And then on top of that, I layer when I want to look for earnings. Now, I do want to point out, before I run this search and I show you what's happened over the past couple of weeks, let's say you say to me, Susan, this is great, but I would like to know every earnings that's happening of the stocks that are in VectorVest. Where can I find those? Well, follow me. Head on over here to Viewer. And in here, in Viewer, go down to Events Viewer. And in Events Viewer, what you're going to see appear are the earnings dates and the dividend X dates and the dividend pay dates. So you can see here, coming up next Monday, we have TCOM. Then on Tuesday, we have Asana, we have Brady, we have GitLab, we have Oh My Home Limited, etc. Now, I will tell you this. I used to just go in here into my list of earnings, right? According to the earnings dates, I go in here, I'd look at the events viewer, and I'd look at these and I'd look at the businesses that I like. Okay, so me personally, I'm somebody that loves project management, and I have, personally speaking for myself, a project management system. It's a competitor of Asana, and I would think, okay, I'd love to go in there and see what are they saying. That's the one I'm going to go into. Or if I pop down here, let me just see here what might stand out to me. Barnes and Noble. Personally, as Rick kindly alluded to, I am an author. My 6th book is currently on the printing press. So I'd say, yes, I'd love to go in there and take a look at Barnes & Noble, or let me see what else there now might jump out at me. Interesting there, hearing all about the petroleum stocks that Ryan's taken us through. Maybe I look at major drilling. And the thing is, when you're drawn to the businesses you like, that's not necessarily bringing you to the stocks that you want. And unfortunately, I learned that the hard way when I started learning about earnings reports first, because you can really feel when you look at an earnings call like you get to know the company. And of course, the CEO and the CFO and the investor relations team's job, their job is to present the report in such a way that they often present it in a positive light. So you can really get the positive side. And what you need, in my opinion, is the objectivity of something like the VectorVest system to make sure you're being drawn to the stocks that you want to look at, as opposed to the businesses you might like to look at. And that's why I built the search. I started the wrong way around, and now this is how I've built my search. So now that I've told you that, how have I been doing? Well, I can go back and back and back and back. And as you know, with Backtester, we can. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go back over the last couple of Fridays and show you what has been happening in this particular search. Now, before I do, can I ask you to pop into the chat, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take a look and I'm going to see what you're saying, because I'm not going to go back to Rick and ask him to take a look for me. I'm going to take a look myself. So can I ask you a simple question? Over the past couple of weeks, what have been the big earnings announcements that you might have come across? And if you haven't come across any, that's fine. If you've been on any of Glenn's shows, and Trending Thursday or the mid-afternoon update or any other media outlet, what have been the really big ones that people have been talking about? And let's see if the search that I've come up with has been the one that picked those out. Okay, so I am just looking over here and I am going to take a look at what people are saying. Okay, so I'm just going to take a look and see what you say. What are the really big earnings that people have been talking about? Okay, so I can see here, or Alston said STRL. Okay, NVIDIA, Tony, yep, certainly NVIDIA was one that has come up a lot. AVGO, SMCI, John says as well. Any others? Any others come up? Anything else that has come up in your radar? NVIDIA, Neo, yeah, I was reading about that. It didn't come up in my search, but it certainly did come up during the week. PayPal, of course, Brian, yes. Okay, keep them coming. Keep them coming. And I'm going to show you what has appeared on my screen over the past couple of weeks. So let's go back a week ago. Okay, so a week ago, of course, is back here. And I'm going to press OK. And I'm going to run the search. And there we go. There was one appeared on my search last week. That was Lululemon. Lululemon was the one that appeared last week. And if I go back to Thursday, Heiko had actually appeared as well. But as I say, I won't do this because we could go back and back and back. But last week, Lululemon appeared. And since then, if I quick test that, Lululemon has been up 10.56% since. Okay, let me go back to the Friday before. And like I say, you can pick any day. I'm just picking one particular day in the week. Okay, I'm going to go back to, and here we go, NVIDIA. So NVIDIA had appeared on my screen. Also, CRH, I don't know if any of you know TIS, that I have indeed an Irish accent. So CRH is the largest company in the Irish Stock Exchange. So I was very aware of that anyway. But CRH came up there. Workday, again, big HR company that lots of you might know. Intuit is a company as well that I'm quite familiar with, and of course Toll Brothers as well. So since then, how have those stocks been getting on? Now, as you can imagine, NVIDIA is a particular outlier here, but as you can see here, overall, all 5 were winners in that period of time. And we had 3 double digits in that, not just NVIDIA. Okay, let me go to a week before that again. And there was another big one. Okay, another big one. Let me press OK, run my search, and let's see who we have here. Particular Fabrinet. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that company. Cisco, of course, TJX, Deere and Co, etc. And let me just quick test that as well. Okay, and let's see how those have been doing. And the quick test is about to appear. Okay, there we go. Just need a bit more of encouragement. So as you can see, Fabrinet is up 31%. Applied Mat is up 10.92%. Again, we've had of these 6 stocks, 5 have been winners and 1 has not. So you can see this is what has dramatically changed since I started looking at earnings reports. First of all, I started looking at the businesses I was interested in, and now I look at the stocks that are aligned with me. So let me see here. John says Lulu has broken out of a really long base. Very nice, Susan. Good call. John, I really appreciate the compliment. The thing is, it's the system that actually generated it for me. So what I'm going to do now is show you what happened yesterday. So who am I looking for this week? And check this out. Nobody. And that's the thing about this, is that, of course, I could loosen this out, or I could put RS down to 1. I could do all of those things. And I'm not, right? I'm not. But what this does tell me is that not every week am I going to have an earnings call to look at, or not every day that I'm going to be looking forward, am I going to have an earnings call to look at that aligns with me. Sometimes a decision that an investor takes, like me, is to do nothing. That is a decision in its own right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Lululemon. I'm going to show you how I look at the earnings, depending on the amount of time you have. And of course, depending on the interest that you have, as well as the understanding that you might have as well of a lot of the jargon that comes in along the way. Okay, so first of all, let me just show you, I just want to show you the Lululemon graph. And the reason I want to show you this is I put on the earnings tag, right? So what I'm going to do there now is I'm just going to move my tab aside. Now, look here, I hope you can see, as Ryan was drawing lines there, I was thinking about doing the same, but I'm actually not going to do that. I just want to draw your attention to where you can see the green E's. Okay, so, or sorry, yellow E's. I'm going to take them off and put them back on again to make them easier. I distinctly remember watching Lululemon's earnings last time, and I think they were up 14% in minutes. The stock, of course, was up 14% in minutes. I was watching it very, very closely. Very good earnings last time around. And as you can see, it gapped up. It also did the same the time before that. So back in the March earnings as well. But look at before that, it gapped down. And so you might at this stage possibly be thinking, I wonder what happened then. And of course, I can talk to you about what happened then. But what I find in an earnings call is, particularly when the analysts start asking questions and answers, they will bring the problems back in to fore, and they will ask the company, the problems that you experienced a quarter ago, a year ago, where do you stand on that now? And then, as you can see, we have another earnings back there. So in summary, Lululemon is a stock that has been very responsive to its earnings call, very, very responsive indeed. And fundamentally, there's a lot of great things about this stock. There really are. But when we get in and we're going to get right in underneath what's going on here, that is when we're really going to figure out what has been happening. Okay, so what do we do when it comes to an earnings? Can you listen to an earnings call live? Yes, you can, right? All you need to do is, for example, in Asana's case there on Monday, or Tuesday, you can go into Asana's investor relations and you can simply join the webcast as it's live. And I often do that. You'll hear that as it's happening. And sometimes these companies make life very, very easy for us by distilling the information right down. Could be in a deck or a presentation. It could be in Netflix case. What they actually do is they do a live Q&A on YouTube itself, so you can see how the interaction is going. But what Lululemon did, which has been great altogether, is they put together a simple infographic that tells us the basics. So let me just walk you through this. Not every company does this. Most of the time they don't, but let me just walk you through here a couple of things that I see and that I'm discerning from it. And I do want to point out this episode is, of course, 90 minutes long. I will be very punctual and I will make sure that I hand back on time. So just in case you're looking at the clock and worrying about whether we go over, we won't. Don't worry. I will make sure I'm watching it on your behalf. Okay, so first of all here, one of the big highlighted numbers is that total revenue was up 18%. And also diluted EPS was up 22%. What is the first thing that you see from that? Just going to take a moment here. What is the first thing you notice about that? Because there's one standout here for me. So one point it's a secondary one in my opinion, although some of you might disagree with me. What is it's a secondary thing for me, but obviously both of these numbers are double digit. That's very, very significant and notable in anything to do with the consumer, particularly given inflation at the moment. Okay, so what is the thing? What really stands out here to you? Is there anything in particular that stands out here to you? I'm just going to give this 30 seconds and to see, I'm keeping a very good eye here on the chat to see if there's anything in particular stands out to you about this. Okay. Okay, and I can see that there's good chats happening here in the respective chat. Okay, I'll tell you what stands out to me. That the growth rate of the earnings is faster than that of the revenue, and that implies the company is making more use of its revenue, whether that is it has cut costs, whether it is selling more profitable elements, whether it is that could be something, of course, that is one-off, whether it's to do with capital expenditures, etc. But that is one. Yeah, Lawrence says it's all going up. Exactly, Lawrence. That's really notable. You're absolutely right. This shows me on this quick snapshot, obviously, we're looking here at a full year 23 earnings. What this is telling me is that the company is making more efficient use of its income coming in. Now, when I went on and I looked through the full earnings report and I listened to the full the earnings call and I read the transcript, that absolutely is the case, and I'm going to come back to that. But that is one thing that I always look out for, is what is the pace at which the earnings is growing relative to the revenue. Okay, I conducted a very quick survey. Now, I do want to make this point right. The people that I asked this question to all want to remain anonymous. So what I'm going to tell you is I did a quick survey of everybody that you have met so far today on this YouTube right now. Please make sure and preserve their anonymity. Everyone you've met, from the producer to the presenters. I did this quick survey and I asked them all had they come across Lululemon, because I had. And you know what they said to me? Do you know what they said to me? They said to me, I actually think Lululemon is only for women. Aha, interesting, I said, because what I wanted to do is share the results of my survey, which is that there was a real perception that Lululemon is only for women. And on the other hand, as you can see, men's revenue is growing quite significantly at 15% in comparison to women's revenue that is growing at 16%. So we can see here, this is very, very strong. What isn't on this infographic, what I do want to point out to you, is accessories are actually growing at 44%, but you have to get in under the hood to know that. So the point is that there's other elements, other categories within here that are growing even more rapidly more successfully. But I did want to point out that there is certainly a men's offering, and it's growing at the same pace as women. Now, what I also think here is important to point out to you is comparable store sales are up 9%. Digital revenue is up 17%. What you don't see on this infographic is something else that was mentioned in the earnings transcript. And again, this is why I look at them, is digital revenue is responsible for 40% of total revenue. So as you can see, it is growing faster, almost doubly as much. Now, they're putting huge emphasis on store growth, the actual physical store, and even more emphasis on physical store growth in APAC, and even more focus again on digital or on physical store in APAC, specifically in mainland China. That's where a lot of their focus is going. So obviously in a one-page infographic, you can only get a couple of key points. And this is what I want to do, is to help you guide your way through. I find this absolutely intriguing over here. North American revenue grew by 11%. International revenue grew by 52%. Chinese revenue actually grew by 61%. So that's even greater again. Now, let me tell you the whole story about this though. Right, number one, North American revenue growing by 11%. While that is very, very important, it may look like that the growth in North America is much slower than international. But two things I want to point out. Number one is that the apparel market in North America is actually in decline. So the fact that they grew in a relatively, slightly declining, I'll give you the percentage in a moment, shows you that they're gaining market share in the US. The second thing I want to point out to you is that revenue is more profitable. And it's understandable why, because Lululemon is headquartered in the US, and a big thing that came up in the earnings call was all about the cost of air freight. So of course they don't have to ship anything outside of the US when they're selling in the US. And also, this is the other thing, this is the nuance that you need when you are really getting into understanding your company. The other nuance to point out to you as well is that 22% of their revenue comes from international. Now, this is up significantly, and over their plan is to get it to 50-50, which shows that this company has serious serious ambition. But at the moment, you are seeing really fast-paced growth internationally, and even more so specifically in China, which is where they're putting a lot of their investments in, particularly next year, from a capital point of view. But we also need to bear in mind, okay, what percentage of growth is happening in an environment of the overall market? Secondly, what is most profitable? And thirdly, what representation does international have from the point of view of total revenue? Okay. Now, in essence, they talk about their strategy then, which is their Q2 results highlight the ongoing strength of a business amid a dynamic operating environment, and they are keeping a very close eye on operating profit. I could talk to you today about gross profit. It is in the earnings call. I'd prefer not to. I'm going to talk to you about operating profit because I think that matters much more to investors. It's much closer to the earnings per share. And fundamentally, that is what a business needs to keep an eye on. I'm proud of how our teams continue to deliver on our vision and offer an exciting pipeline of new products and experiences to our guests around the world. I find this really interesting. Look at that word, guests. That's how they describe their customers. When they talk about their loyalty program, similar, they talk about their guests. They don't talk about their customers. They don't talk about their consumers. They talk about their guests. And I think that is just something that is different about Lululemon. And there's other things that I want to highlight to you as well about this, but particularly the approach they take to their individual, I'm going to call them consumer, because that is what you might call it in this industry. It is different. So our continued ability to gain market share, this is important, particularly in the US, because what they're trying to do is start off and build particularly brand awareness. You'll see that coming up a lot in the earnings call, but they want to gain market share. They're trying to take customers from others. And the other thing they talk about, and it's an important distinction, is growing share of wallet. Two different things. So let me just explain the difference. Let's say there is a €1 million of revenue to be got. Okay, there's €1 million in this industry. Growing market share means that Lululemon is trying to gain more of that market. But growing share of wallet is a different thing. Share of wallet is, I currently, let's just say, for the purposes of this exercise, I have €1,000 in my wallet. And what Lululemon is trying to do by increasing that share of wallet is increase the amount that I'm spending with Lululemon as distinct to eating out, as distinct to paying bills, as distinct to going on holidays. That is different. And of course, one could be linked to the other. By growing your share of wallet, they could be growing the size of the market as well. So that's what they're, just want to distinguish those two and bring new customers into the brand. They talk a lot about unaided brand awareness. That's what they talk about, unaided brand awareness. So if Lululemon is not paying to get in front of you, how well is it doing in order to do that? And they talk about a significant runway ahead for Lululemon. Okay, so with the 8 minutes that I have now right in front of me, what I want to do is I want to bring a couple of things particularly to your focus. So what I like to do is I like to look at the transcript. A lot of companies don't provide a transcript. So instead, I simply search for it, and generally I come across it on The Motley Fool, right? So as you can see, this is what I've done. Now I've read through everything here, and I am going to simply press Control F on my keypad here to bring you certain terms that I want to draw your attention to. The first one is the number 44%. Okay, let me just get this for you now. So 44%. Okay, here we go. This is a key thing that stood out for me, specifically in Q2. Women's increased 16%, men's was up by 15%. So we know about that. I showed it to you on the infographic, but accessories increased 44%. Now, of course, what I want to know now is what representation does accessories have in overall revenue? And of course, then I might also like to ask what profit margin might be on those. And that is what you can do when you're on the Q&A if you're an analyst, or you can delve into the figures to find that out. It won't necessarily just automatically come up. Now, in terms of e-commerce, okay, so I am going to show you this. I've already referred to this figure, and that is 40%. Yes, in our digital channel, revenues totaled 894 million, or 40% of total revenue. They talk a lot about the increase in e-commerce, and it's something that comes up again in the Q&A a little bit afterwards. But I just want to show you this as well. Look how often this appears, unaided, okay, unaided brand awareness, right? Unaided brand awareness. Look here at this number up here on my screen. 4 times. 4 times this comes up. Our unaided brand awareness is still only 25% in the US, and with the exception of the UK and Australia, our unaided brand awareness remains in single digits in every market we operate outside of North America. There is your runway. That is your runway. That is a key part of their strategy. And I'll tell you how I know how much they intend to spend on that is because, let me just show you the term, look for the term unlock. They have a strategy. You'll see it here now. There you go. What they have a strategy is they keep marketing spend relatively stable as a percentage to sales on an annual basis. And then because sales have increased, remember that 18% figure, therefore they are strategically able to invest behind their initiatives, leveraging both earned and paid media in new and creative ways. So because they're growing their sales and by 18%, because their marketing spend is a percentage of total sales, of which they haven't told us, it does unlock dollars then, and then they elaborate on what all of those those elements around what they're actually doing to have that greater brand awareness. The next thing I wanted to show you as well is this. I wanted to show you, yes, look how often this term comes up, unmet needs. Okay, look at this, 8 times. 8 times. We will continue to focus on acquiring new guests, remember that term, not customers, on their unmet needs. Down here again, unmet needs. Down here again, unmet needs, unmet needs, unmet needs. This is something that Lululemon are particularly focusing on. Now, as you know, the gentlemen that you have all met today, from the producer to the presenters, all feel they may have unmet needs by Lululemon because they don't know that their Lululemon could meet their needs. And that is very much the focus of what this company is working on. It's really focusing on that. And within the earnings report, they talk about the products that they are working on to get there. The next thing I wanted to show you is the proportion of international. Okay, this time I'm looking for a 22% figure. I'm looking for this. Okay, so total international sales represents 22% of sales versus 17% in Q2. So what happens down in the Q&A is that they do talk to them, they do ask the question about the focus on international, and there's a big focus, as I mentioned, on China. So even though you're seeing a really big focus towards our big growth in international, at the same time, it is important to point out that international only represents 22% of their sales, and that's where the opportunity is. I do want to show you, particularly because this, I think, is what investors really want to know, is the operating margin. Okay, down here, let's go down to yes, okay. Operating income for the quarter was 479 million, or 21.7% of net revenue, compared to adjusted operating margin of 20.9% in Q2. Why is this important? For every dollar that is spent on a Lululemon product anywhere in the world, okay, and we now know that round about 78% of that is in the US, 22% of that is international. Of every dollar that is spent on a Lululemon product, 21.7 of that goes into the operating income. That means operating income is what happens after the actual cost of the product is taken away. That's where you look at cost of sales, you're left with gross margin, but it's after that. That's when you've got your salaries, your accountant's fees, your marketing spend, etc. This is what's left over. 21.7%. That's very, very healthy. And as you can see, it's also growing. Now, while it's growing, if they solely focused on the US and simply niche down there, that would be higher. And they do point that out during the Q&A with the analysts as well. It would be higher, but the growth isn't there. As we've seen, the growth is in China, the growth is in APAC, etc. In addition, they have a very, very strong cash base. So when we look at this, we've 1.1 billion down here. They've ended the quarter with 1.1 billion in cash. What does that tell us? Number one, they're a liquid company. They're a very significantly liquid company. The second thing that it tells us is that they are in a position to commit with their own cash to the capital projects that they have, and they have outlined them down here. And what it also tells us is that they don't need an awful lot of debt and would have the money to be able to meet their debt requirements as they come along. Okay, the last thing I want to say in the about 45 seconds that I have left is that I want to show you the capital. Yep, down here. This is the last thing that they talk about before let me see here now, am I right? I just want to move into, yes, okay. So they talk about here, the capital expenditures is expected to be 670 to 690 million for 2023. We know now, right here, that Lululemon have around about 1.5 times that cash already, in order to commit to that. So that's really important to always check that does it have the money to actually commit to the capital expenditure? And secondly, what is it going to do? So what it's talking about doing is the continuation of their multi-year distribution center project. And they talk a lot about the profitability from air freight, store capital for new locations, and they are planning on a range of, they're looking for 35 new stores to open in 2023, and that's particularly focusing on, they now have 107 stores in mainland China, and at the end of the quarter, they had 672 stores across the globe. Relocations, renovations, and technology investments. So they're looking at this being approximately 7% of revenue, and it's in line with the current Power of 3 by 2 target. This comes up, by the way, again and again and again. This is their sales target for how they want to double the business from their figure in 2021. So on that note, and right on time, I am now going to hand you back to the man himself, to the person of the hour, that is Rick. And thank you very much, Rick, for having me today, and congratulations on hosting your first international forum.
Thank you very much, Susan. Let me get my screen share on. Thank you very much. That was excellent. And Susan, there was so much going on in the chat, and we've got Neil saying, what a pleasure to hear an instructor speak about financial analysis. Of course, we've got a number of people who are talking about how they get the earnings call right, but the forward guidance is the thing that burns them. And the other thing, Susan, just so you know, Ryan and I were chatting while you were presenting, and we've agreed to get together next weekend and go to a Lululemon and buy ourselves some new outfits. So we'll see if we can remain anonymous after that.
I will let them know.
You're going to forewarn them?
Well, the earnings call could be very different next time as a result of your shopping. And remember, you two will be guests and not consumers.
Oh, and since we have a few minutes, speaking of guests, so I was also a guest yesterday at an airline that canceled my flight, so I'm not where I'm supposed to be here, folks, and we will see if I can get home before Tuesday's Q&A. That will be the challenge. So thank you very much, Ryan and Susan. Excellent presentations. I hope everybody enjoyed this month's forum. Thanks everybody for attending. As you can see there, follow us on social media to stay up to date on VectorVest events, contests, and educational topics. And the last screen we'll put up before we close this out. And look at this, like we're literally making it within time. Ray's going to be so happy. That's the only reason I could share my flight story, my flight getting canceled yesterday. So thank you for watching, and everybody, as you're aware, any issues or you need any help, give our excellent product support and training folks a call at 1-888-658-7638. You can also get them at support@vectorvest.com. As we mentioned before, the replay for this recording will be available on YouTube immediately after the webinar at the same location, VectorVest YouTube channel. And oh yes, so this slide here says Monday, but the first slide was right. The slides will be emailed out on Tuesday. So thanks again for everybody tuning in. Thanks again, Ryan and Susan, and Joey, of course, putting everything together in the background. And that's a wrap. Take care, everybody.